Story 1. The repeated questions that clearly are not asked by real people indicate a waste of time. Story 2. Subreddits are echo chambers, dictated by popular opinion and heavily suppressing unpopular opinions. Not only are moderators encouraged to silence unpopular opinions, but non-moderators can also do it through downvotes, essentially making your comment invisible unless people scroll to the bottom. Story 3. How is it so one-sided? If people ask for your opinion and you give it, then get attacked for it. If you want reassurance, then say that. Do not ask if you are the asshole or ask for advice. Story 4. You can get banned for no reason. Some people report others randomly, and the platform bans you without investigation, leaving you no way to defend yourself. For example, I was permanently banned from a community I liked because someone posted a message saying they needed someone to talk to. I replied, "I have some free time and I would gladly talk to you anytime you feel like it." And then I was banned for life. I tried to appeal, but without success. Story 5. Reddit is like, we value discussion, then downvotes you into the shadow realm for having a slightly different opinion. Story 6. It rewards terrible advice. I just read an article about how there is a chat generative pre-trained transformer epidemic of people asking it for advice in their relationships, and no matter what is wrong, the artificial intelligence recommends breaking up, especially if the person asking is female and their partner is male. Because that is what it reads on Reddit. Reddit's disconnect from reality is actively causing harm. Story 7. The self-righteous arrogance of Reddit users leads them to believe they are smarter and more enlightened than the average person. We are not, we are just more maladjusted. Story 8. The karma farming drives me nuts. I posted about losing my grandmother last week in a support subreddit, and someone copied my exact post word for word an hour later. Story 9. The website itself is incredibly slow sometimes, which is maddening. This issue occurs across browsers, but I do not experience the same problem with most other websites. Story 10. What is the most intimate experience you have ever had with someone? Every question on Reddit seems similar because people try to create fantasies from the comments. Story 11. Lately, there have been endless questions about artificial intelligence or chat generative pre-trained transformer. What do you like the most about X? How has Y changed the way you work? What are the best ways to make money with Z? Please stop asking these questions. Story 12. When you ask a question in a subreddit mostly dedicated to asking questions, people either say Google exists, or there are 20 jokes in the comments and only one true answer. It is so annoying trying to ask a question about anything on Reddit. Story 13. I hate when there is a post with an interesting or serious question and you are curious to see answers, but the top comment is a silly joke. Then you have to scroll through about 50 responses to that joke just to get to actual information. I understand people are joking around, but sometimes I wish the top comment was actually related to the post properly. Story 14. When a moderator of the That's Interesting subreddit decides that a post is not interesting to them, it does not matter that other people find it interesting. Then they lock and delete the post. Story 15. Being a moderator is the saddest form of power you can give someone. I encountered a particular one and spoke to them to raise a concern about a post that was literally harmless, not inappropriate, not safe for work, not offensive, and not childish. They just did not like it for some reason, and the way they conversed made it feel like they loved using the little power they had. You can talk to them nicely, and they will reply condescendingly. I honestly had never felt like that before when talking to someone behind a keyboard. I remembered the subreddit months ago and tried to appeal the ban. I kid you not, the way I imagined how they looked while talking to other people was like the smile of Dwight Schrute from The Office. It made me think, damn, this is sad and a bit funny. I do hope they are doing well though. Story 16. Groupthink and the resulting lack of discourse. Many communities will ban or attack if a person disagrees or brings up a different point of view. It is reflective of society as a whole. No room for debate or discussion, just accusations, labels, and anger. It is unfortunate. Story 17. I just joined a few days ago. I dislike the rules requiring a certain amount of karma or account age to participate in some subreddits. I understand it is an anti-bot measure, but as a new user, it is discouraging. This is unfortunate because I really like Reddit in theory, but I cannot comment in many of the subreddits I am interested in. Story 18. People cannot handle criticism of their favorite things such as a political party, sports team, or entertainment franchise, and cannot handle a difference of opinion. Story 19. Some people are really mean and negative for no apparent reason. It is such a shame because there are also many lovely people here, but even one nasty comment on a post or thread can really bring you down sometimes. Story 20. Moderators with no oversight. I had a post removed once because the moderator was not interested in the topic. It was a person using one of those motorized parachutes in our hometown. Later in the week, another person posted the same content and it was not removed. It must have been a different moderator on call. Story 21. You cannot truly block people. I have had to make new accounts in the past because I upset a person who was unwell and could not let it go. Automatically banning someone because they are a member of another subreddit is nonsensical and prejudiced. Story 22. The fact that people are anonymous, I would expect anonymous people to be more honest about their feelings. Instead, they troll, misrepresent arguments, and show off moral superiority. No one cares. Story 23. Not sure if it is dislike, but to me it really shows what some people are thinking. I do not like their thoughts, but at least it gives me a chance, although I am not sure it is successful, to point out that there is a different way of thinking about things. It shows to me the level of ignorance some people have about a subject. Story 24. If anyone posts an article, the comments will be full of people arguing about what they think the article might say, and nobody takes 5 seconds to even skim through it to get an idea of what it actually says. I understand when it is paywalled, but even when it is not, people will wildly guess about what the article says instead of checking it. Story 25. Every game subreddit for individual games is extremely whiny. All you hear about is negative content, and there are rarely people who actually seem to enjoy the content and share experiences. It is so bad that now there is a main and low-sodium subreddit for every popular game. Story 26. The lack of critical thinking skills in many subscribers. The need to make a hot take on everything. The tendency to frame everything as good versus evil. The overuse of laugh out loud in comments from people disagreeing with a somewhat reasonable opinion. The lack of understanding that geopolitics is far more complex and nuanced than people admit. There are usually more than two factions involved in a conflict. Governments do not always align with citizens, and multiple agendas exist among countries on the sidelines in a regional conflict. The repetition of propaganda. The tendency of some people to bring their political agenda into a thread about the results of a soccer match, celebrity gossip, or similar topics. Story 27. Misinformation and heavily political. I remember a video that went trending of Elon Musk with his child and how he just abandoned him outright. Well, from another video angle, Elon Musk waited for his child. It does not matter what your opinions are of Elon Musk, but this shows there is a heavy bias here. Do not take anything on this site to be true. The same goes for other media outlets. Story 28. If you do not agree politically with Reddit or the moderators, they ban you. That means if you are not leaning left or far left, you get banned. Story 29. How quickly subreddit moderators censor you over something trivial, yet low-effort content is allowed to be reposted unlimited times without an automated moderator. Story 30. Getting banned from some groups because the moderator did not like a portion of a comment that did not fit with their politics. Story 31. The snowflakes who cannot stand reality. If you cannot accept reality and criticism, then do not ask for people's opinions. Story 32. People who incorrectly troll others into believing they are correct and have some hope when they actually have no hope at all. Story 33. Ban happy moderators. There is no support from Reddit staff, many bot posts and spam posts, and a hive mind that is often disconnected from reality. Story 34. The left-wing echo chamber. I am left-wing and from the United Kingdom. In the run-up to the United States election, I could not imagine Donald Trump winning after observing the conversation here. The algorithm influenced me. I was lost in confusion, and as soon as I realized it, it really upset me for having been so naive. Story 35. The political echo chamber of the party we all know seeps into most subreddits. I just want to see funny memes. I do not care about your political opinions. Story 36. People calling you out for karma farming or whatever that is. I once posted a video on 2 subreddits. It was Nintendo related, I think. I agreed with a lot of what people were saying in the comments, and people were cussing me out for karma farming. Listen, what do I gain from karma? It doesn't pay rent, food, a roof, or anything for that matter. What would I gain? Also, there are insecure and poor moderators. I have too many examples of that. Story 37. That literally every time a person posts about a minor issue in their relationship, everybody says, red flags everywhere, he's a walking red carpet, run, 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 original poster, you can do better. Especially in Am I the Asshole and advice subreddits. Story 38. When one person downvotes a seemingly normal question or answer, at times everyone just follows suit as if they do not have their own opinion. This is not specific to Reddit though. Story 39. It used to be a place to have an actual discussion. Now it is just automated programs spamming posts and automated programs responding to posts. Of course, the troublemakers still exist. Story 40. A good portion of the people here fit every stereotype about Reddit users and moderators, which is true for a segment of the user base. Story 41. Ban biased artificial intelligence and moderators who simply uphold decisions on appeal to meet quotas, rather than conducting proper investigations. Story 42. You cannot offer an opinion that differs from the collective without being downvoted extensively. I think this discourages people from expressing what they truly want to say in an attempt to gain positive feedback points. Story 43. Sometimes it seems like a contest of who can hate something the most. Hating things attracts the most upvotes because hate is the most passionate feeling, I guess. Also, things and people will be hated for no other reason than they are popular. After a while, you realize that the same content gets posted repeatedly. General smugness and pseudo-intellectualism of Reddit users. The app itself performs very poorly. It has so many issues I consistently encounter that it is not even worth listing them all. Of course, third-party applications were disabled by the application programming interface changes. Then Reddit users made a big fuss about it for about a week, and afterward everyone forgot. Rest in peace, Apollo, I miss you. Story 44. The creeps. It's like they all gather here like rodents. I'm sorry, that's an insult to rodents. Rodents are great. Story 45. On Reddit, it is easy to spread propaganda or hate against any country, ethnicity, or culture, especially if you blend in with certain subreddits. Upvote and downvote can be too biased sometimes. Sometimes subreddits become too hateful echo chambers. To farm karma, some deliberately post inflammatory content. Since accounts are mostly anonymous, you never really know what country, ethnicity, or ideology someone belongs to. If you have doubts, you often have to dig through their posts and comment history to look for patterns. Story 46. It seems like superficial, surface-level comments get upvoted, while heartfelt, well-thought-out comments receive fewer likes, which is disappointing. For example, I had a comment on sleep paralysis that blew up, but all my heartfelt advice comments received little attention. I guess I don't understand the internet on a fundamental level. Story 47. How people will literally downvote anyone with an opinion different from theirs. Do we seriously live in a world where disagreeing with someone means their opinion does not deserve respect? Even if this is the internet and Reddit is somewhat disconnected from the world, many people get influenced by the behavior they see or engage in online and carry those habits into their daily lives. Story 48. The intolerance of differing points of view is common. The anonymity of the forum makes many people bold when it comes to hurling insults. Story 49. When you see a post being positive and some people have to find something negative about it and comment, it is not necessary to do so. Story 50. By using it, you realize that most people have no ability to reason, think, or conceptualize. Most people just come here to express their anxiety, paranoia, and low self-esteem on others. Story 51. Everyone goes out of their way to make the lamest joke we have already seen countless times. In support subreddits, People do not use the search function or even check posts from the last hour to see if an issue is already being discussed. It is tiring to see the same questions, which have already been answered many times in the last half hour, and moderators not doing anything about it. Story 52. Reddit users tend to think that everyone has the same reaction to the same stimulus and will actively accuse you of having the worst motives when you make simple, harmless statements. Story 53. It is an echo chamber, and you cannot have meaningful discussions, even if you agree with 90% of people's values or politics. Fall in line or get downvoted. Story 54. I receive no notice or explanation as to why some of my posts are removed, even when I contact the moderators. Story 55. 1. A lot of the moderators are on a power trip. As someone mentioned earlier, there seems to be a hive mind mentality among many Reddit users. Many people do not respect others' opinions. We cannot all have the same opinion about everything, but I have seen a lot of Reddit users start personally bashing someone because they do not like the original poster's opinion. This behavior is childish, which leads to point 4. I may be wrong, but because of the hive mentality here, it shows how childish and easily influenced people can be. There are many things I do not like about Reddit, but I guess the reason I keep using it is that I can listen to and sign bands and get recommendations for other music and games. There are some nice people here, but the rude ones outnumber them. Story 56. When you create a new account, you either cannot start chats or your chats are limited. Additionally, the karma system causes confusion. Story 57. How overly political every subreddit is. Even if I agree with most of it, it gets annoying. Sometimes I want to see content about a video game or woodworking without it turning into some strange political discussion. I don't need someone to argue about politics when I'm trying to learn the best way to make sourdough bread. Just relax, people. Your whole personality doesn't need to be like a typical Reddit moderator. Story 58. People downvote you for answering honestly. You can have a meaningless question such as, "What is your favorite color?" and get downvoted for answering yellow just because the asker's favorite color is blue. Like you asked. You basically started a poll. Do not go in downvoting answers you do not like. Story 59. Number 1. The abuse of power by the moderators. Number 2. The low emotional and intellectual maturity of people. Story 60. I was banned for saying I liked a dress a woman was wearing on a style subreddit. They reviewed my history and said I was on subreddits they do not like. Story 61. It is a bot-filled echo chamber where truth goes to die. The only thing Reddit is good for is memes, video games, and cute pages. There is no real news or important information here, just the leftist and transgender propaganda agenda and other nonsense. Story 62. The downvoting for asking questions and the extreme opinions, such as people who say break up after a few small mistakes. Story 63. Despite Reddit's reputation for being very left-leaning, there is a lot of bigotry on the platform. Racism, sexism, ableism, xenophobia, transphobia, and other forms of discrimination are all very common. The anonymity allows people to be as nasty as they want. Story 64. Rude, offensive people, man-haters, and those who downvote comments for no apparent reason. For example, when I told a person considering suicide not to give up and that they deserve their life. Why would anybody downvote that? Story 65. For posting in certain communities, you have to wait until your account is old enough. I understand that with a few subscriptions, but it can be really annoying. Story 66. Opinions, when requested, are vilified if they do not agree with the original poster, and everyone's response to conflict is to go no contact. Story 67. The ridiculous rules that some subreddits have are even worse when they are automatically applied to posts, usually incorrectly. Story 68. My way or the highway mentality is very judgmental. Lately, people seem to be relishing America's issues and letting the media shape how they view my country. We have our problems, but we are not all dumb or idiots. I am tired of seeing most posts on Reddit just focus on how America is bad. I dislike the direction the United States is going, but I know because I live here that it is not as bad as the media would have you believe. Story 69. the lack of genuine community, and the feeling that we are just broadcasting opinions into the void. I do not really care about what anyone thinks. I do not know anything about anyone and will never interact with them again. There is the illusion of community, but if all the other posts here were made by a large language model rather than some random person somewhere on Earth, it would make no difference whatsoever to how I interact here. And yet it consumes so much of my time. Story 70. There are certain questions specifically asking for controversial opinions. When someone states an honest answer, they are downvoted severely. The original poster needs the option to disable upvoting and downvoting in their own thread. Story 71. Randomly getting content from tarantulas just to watch a video I was enthralled by, mostly due to my fear of spiders. Luckily, it was an easy fix, but I definitely did not need that on my feed. Spiders are friends, but they still make my whole body tense even though I know they are just as scared of me as I am of them and are usually harmless to me. It's irrational, but here I am, and I regret to admit I've killed more than I would have liked because of that fear. Otherwise, I try to leave them be or move them to a better place like the garage. Story 72. The things I like and hate are double-edged swords. I hate that anyone can post here when talking with people who are not smarter than a jar of mayonnaise. But I like that this is what it is, and it has led to some interesting interactions. I hate that people are so defensive about philosophy and tend to project all of their insecurities onto your comments. But I like that even when I am downvoted to oblivion, there are 3 or 4 people who commented in agreement. Diversity of thought is real here. Story 73. Extremism. Someone can post an opinion or perspective, and the responses often come from the most extreme or dramatic view that could be applied to that perspective. There is little effort to seek a middle ground of understanding. Story 74. AstroTurfing campaigns run rampant, and there is a collective mindset that does not support discourse when there are differing views. Instead, performative conversations occur where participants literally score points for hitting talking points that the platform reaffirms users' already formed beliefs. Story 75. I am a new user and sometimes I have many questions but cannot post in some specific and large member groups. It annoys me very much. Story 76. There are users on here who are too afraid to say things to me directly but create secondary accounts to do so. They are actively causing problems for other people and engaging in conflicts. Story 77. How some act like psychologists and analyze people's personalities and character based on reading posts on their profiles, even though they are unrelated. It is basically how some think they can say anything they want because they are apparently asked for their opinion. The truth is that they can be bullies behind random usernames. Story 78. Asking for an opinion and being downvoted for having a different opinion, mainly in fandom subreddits, is frustrating. For example, someone might ask, "How do you feel about this X thing from this band?" You give your opinion, and if it does not match the majority, you receive many downvotes. It is frustrating because you asked for a thought. Story 79. The fact that people assume something when all I am doing is asking a question and seeking perspective. I am currently going through that. Story 80. The sheer reductiveness, poor reading comprehension, and lack of critical thought are evident. You go from point A to B to C to D. Someone replies going from point B to K with a stop at F, then starts screeching at you for something you never actually said. They add 2 plus 2 and get apples. Also, shadow banning sometimes seems to happen on a per sub basis. It requires extra development effort and serves no purpose. Just ban people properly. Story 81. People prefer their bubbles and do not like facts that are inconsistent with their worldview. For that reason, you can receive a ban for submitting such content. Story 82. Subreddit suggestion spam occurs after clicking a post in that subreddit. Cannot delete chats. People do not search before posting. Each time there are fewer comments on lower quality posts. The page is overloaded just to show a picture and text comments. Expressing opinions such as, "I like black," in the subreddit white fanatics results in downvotes. In other words, fanatics outweigh discussion. You can get banned but are rarely unbanned. Story 83. Sometimes people do not read your profile and make assumptions about you. Also, if someone gets their feelings hurt, they lash out. Story 84. Rampant Goomba fallacy. Too many people do not stop for a second and think, is there a chance more than one opinion can exist in a given community? Story 85. The constant shoving of news in my face that I do not want to see is overwhelming. I can check the news elsewhere. Having it shoved in my face every time I open the search bar is blatant politics. And I say that as someone who is politically inclined. Even I need a break. Story 86. I hate that I cannot get a paid job as a substitute moderator. It would be great to earn money moderating subreddits with the seriousness that young people take this task for free. Story 87. Reddit users often make witty jokes instead of actually answering your question. I remember one time I had a problem with my laptop, tried to find help on a previous Reddit post, and every single comment was a stupid joke. Story 88. I don't like that you don't really get to know anyone. I have been on Reddit for so long and have not gotten to know anyone. We are all just anonymous. Story 89. The echo chamber of extreme opinions and unwillingness to engage in legitimate conversation hurts the platform. Reddit could be a great place for anonymous discussions, but most parties' refusal to engage with perspectives outside their worldview limits its potential. Story 90. The amount of pornography and not safe for work content here is concerning. There is some disturbing material. It would be better if there were a separate application for that. Story 91. It replaced forums where experts on niche topics could answer questions. Due to the way Reddit is organized and moderated, it often contains poor opinions and uninformed groupthink on many topics. Story 92. The positive aspect is that Reddit provides space for discussion. The negative aspect is that the short, snappy first comments get upvoted the fastest, causing the discussion to get lost in polarized point scoring. Story 93. How comfortable some people are on Reddit. Some questions and stories do not need to be heard by many people. Sometimes it is best to keep secrets secret. Story 94. People are way too mean. Unless you go to specific forums, if you try to ask certain questions or complain about a specific issue, you get responses like, the answer is so obvious, or why didn't you try X or Y? Story 95. Some people are very kind, while others are unpleasant. Some people seem intelligent, while others are less so. Story 96. The sheer volume of artificial intelligence bots that argue with people posting negatively about a topic is increasing. If you see a post about Israel, Donald Trump, or anything controversial, deploying bots to manipulate public opinion is becoming standard. You can detect them by asking questions. They usually respond like Google. Story 97. The karma system should be changed to upvotes. Call it what it is. Because half of the upvoted comments in many posts do not equal good karma in the universe. Story 98. I could not change my 8-year-old username, so I had to create a new account, losing my fake internet points and popular posts. It literally says, choose wisely, you cannot change it later. When you create a new account. Careless planning and zero critical thinking from my past self. Story 99. People constantly complain about reposts. Not everyone is online enough to have seen it before. Story 100. People copy old comments and posts just to repost them for some recognition. Women and bots post sexy pictures of themselves on multiple subreddits to gain recognition and advertise their subscription-based content. Story 101. How a post can contain violence, and my response was, dude needs to be hit in the throat. And I received a warning. How is that possible? I was warned for threatening violence. I most certainly did not threaten violence. I simply stated the facts. Story 102. On mobile, you used to be able to sort the homepage by hot, rising, new, top, etc. I really dislike this for you page format. Story 103. The downvote button creates a cult mentality. If you are against a popular opinion, you are downvoted into oblivion. It prevents proper discussion, in my opinion. Story 104. In general, Reddit is very hive-minded, almost to a debilitating degree at times. I would also like to share what annoys me about the internet as a whole regarding humor and memes. Over a decade ago, I felt like the way memes worked was the same recognizable image with a new joke. These days, it feels like different pictures with the same joke, a little reversal over and over again. I see top comments on posts that are the same jokes I've seen long ago. Replies to the joke are the same jokes in response to the original post. Not to say jokes weren't stolen and everything was original before, but my goodness, a good 80% of things I see are the same joke, different picture, same comments. Sometimes I have déjà vu thinking, I did see this already, right? I click a post, comments are nearly identical, replies almost identical. Then I see it was posted only hours ago. People sometimes complain about reposts, but it's insane how few notice. Alternatively, Reddit in particular is used as a big contest of, oh, I saw this picture last week. I'm going to reuse the top comments from last time for myself for upvotes. Then people reply to the stolen comment with stolen replies, repeating the cycle. I honestly feel crazy at times because I've seen and heard it all. Story 105. How the top comment is usually a snarky remark or an overused joke. The fact that some forum posters share the same oxygen as the rest of us. I swear there is some sort of inside joke there. How willing some Reddit users are to embody the actually, stereotype of the average user. The shameless karma farming masquerading as social issue posts. Redditors themselves, I actually really do not like this site honestly. Story 106. 95% of Reddit users are not open to hearing new ideas, even when facts are presented to them. Reddit and other social media platforms have contributed to the increase in division across the globe. Story 107. Getting a ban for posting something they say incites violence when your post is nothing close to that. Then you point that out, but the ban remains because they lack language comprehension. Story 108. This subreddit contains almost exclusively explicit content. Whenever I see an explicit post, I block the user. Story 109. The way it is run, if the company truly wanted people to pay for premium services, they would offer features like letting users see who downvoted them. The site would be funded for years. Story 110. The downvote should be reserved for specific instances, such as misinformation or cruel or offensive comments. Instead, it is often used to shame someone for a difference of opinion. Story 111. The repetitive agreement in the comment section. People are so quick to make a terrible joke to gain approval rather than address what a post is about. Story 112. 3 things: the herd mentality, the stereotyping, and the people who are unpleasant for no reason. Story 113. The staggering number of subreddit-specific rules and trying to remember them all when commenting. The aggressive approach to being a moderator on most subreddits. The obvious bots that downvote you regarding certain views on certain topics. Story 114. The karma feature on Reddit was discovered by me about 6 months ago. I do not have any karma, so I barely can comment. Story 115. Power drunk moderators. I made a comment years ago on the politics forum after Mitch McConnell took an action. I can't remember what exactly. One of his dangerous actions during the first Trump administration, and I was banned. I called him a curse word. That's it. I typed that word. I called one of the most dangerous men in the world that word and was banned. I appealed to the moderator in question, and he said, "Somebody might be offended." Unbelievable. Story 116. Most discussions are just an empty echo chamber of people repeating the same opinions that their favorite YouTubers endlessly share, or drama or hot takes that are not that unique. I dislike random drama here based on falsehoods, dehumanization, and similar issues. It is all so horrible. The only positive aspect of this site is the not safe for work subforums, and even then people complain about those too. It is horrible. Story 117. Porn ads are not hard to scroll past or avoid clicking on. But that does not change the fact that I am not old enough to see that kind of content. Story 118. Considering everyone here is an internet baby, it is astounding how many people take Reddit advice at face value and think nothing of the source. You are probably getting your career and financial advice from a 43-year-old burnout who works at Starbucks and lives with their mom. So much factually wrong information gets upvoted. This is one of the worst echo chambers you will find on the internet. Also, Reddit moderators are some of the weirdest humans ever. At the same time, it is also hilarious watching them make fools of themselves. Story 119. You are genuinely trying to contribute something to the online conversation relevant to the subreddit, but you fail to meet the increasingly narrow list of submission guidelines, or the way some moderators choose to interpret those guidelines is poor. Story 120. The fact that karma exists is frustrating. I should not have to try to earn karma. I got negative karma. On many subreddits I do not care about just to go to one subreddit and ask a question about merchandise. It is very annoying. I only made this account because my previous account's username annoyed me. Story 121. The fatalism, nihilism, or whatever you want to call it. Every time anything happens, many people say the world is basically about to end and nobody can stop it. Please stop with that negative attitude. Story 122. The original poster explains a difficult situation where there was no way out and it ended with a lose-lose outcome. All the comments then live some kind of power fantasy, where the original poster was supposed to say something super clever and completely dominate the other person. This is often compounded by the inability to see themselves in the original poster's position, with the restrictions they may have on their actions because of seniority, cultural, physical, or other similar imbalances. Basically, the reply poster is living a power fantasy that the original poster was too stupid or inept to execute. As a close second are all the one-word reply subreddits like whoosh, when the person replying themselves fails to grasp the situation or just thinks they are super clever for dropping them. Story 123. The recent user interface change for Android users, especially for those who agreed to participate in beta testing, has not been well received. Users do not like it. Please restore the original scroll user interface. Story 124. The American politics community has completely overrun many major non-political subreddits, which ruins the site. Story 125. The American politics community has completely overrun many major non-political subreddits, which ruins the site. Story 126. The old layout is faster and more responsive, but I do not like navigating it. The new layout is slower and sometimes does not respond to navigation actions, such as going back to a previous page. However, its layout is better for how I want to navigate the site. Story 127. Unlike bulletin board systems, AOL Instant Messenger, Internet Chat Query, and MIRC of the past, Reddit does not really make it possible to form anonymous friendships. Sure, the availability is there in a way, but not really, not like those other platforms. It is basically anonymous touches or glimmers of other people, but no real ability to make online friendships with others. It is like flipping through a radio while on a cross-country road trip. Story 128. Getting downvoted for being right. You should not worry about it, but it still leaves an uncomfortable feeling knowing that people truly think you are wrong, or they downvote you for no reason. Story 129. Being criticized for pointing out unpopular or uncomfortable facts. A 5-day site ban once and a permanent subreddit ban another time. Yet people say the place is populated with intelligent realists. Yes, sure. Story 130. How hostile people are to opposing opinions. Subreddits are echo chambers by design, aren't they? They are literally built for different communities and their niches. It is only natural for an unpopular opinion to receive criticism. I think discourse is good, but being hostile is not. Share your opinion, whether it is in the majority or minority, but please be respectful and open-minded. Story 131. Bots and self-appointed bot hunters. I watched this tool come in at the other night and one by one called in bot scans on everyone in the room. Turned up nothing while continuing to praise himself for saving us. One bot at a time. Felt like I was stepping back into junior high school, waiting for someone to call the vice principal. Story 132. There is too much to list, so here are some examples. In this subreddit alone, when someone asks a question, someone either leaves an answer that is completely irrelevant or leaves an answer that is totally the opposite of what the original poster asked. I once asked a question last May. Something like, what is that one artist that everyone loves but you? I got all the right answers until someone left a comment about 3 rappers that the commenter, most likely just himself, only knows. He did not read the question correctly and tried to defend himself but ultimately failed. I do not know what he is doing now since he blocked me. In the Am I the Asshole subreddit, people often lie about what is happening in their personal lives. The amount of plot holes they leave are embarrassing, especially when using the same username here and on other major social media platforms. If someone wants to lie about what is going on, at least use a throwaway account that has no connections to you so you are less likely to be exposed. I can say this for all subreddits. People downvoting posts and comments for no reason are unreasonable. Watch this comment now with people downvoting it because they disagree with me, only proving me right. People here do not like being proven wrong or called out and cannot properly handle the criticism. Story 133. Newcomers who do not understand how this platform works often think it is just a normal social media site. They keep complaining or posting on random discussion forums about how bad the application is. The same people also mistakenly believe that increasing karma points is similar to gaining followers. As a result, they beg for upvotes, saying, "Can you upvote me? I will upvote you in return," instead of commenting or posting interesting content. Story 134. Comment sections, basically. I like commenting and having discussions, but 9 times out of 10, it's a write-off. You either get obnoxious people taking out their frustrations and being impossible to talk to, or people just recycling the same 10 to 15 phrases for a few cheap upvotes. Or perhaps both. The site itself provides a large amount of content, and while we can all complain about how it used to be better, I still see more cool content here than I ever have in one place on the internet. Basically, I love Reddit, but I can't stand Redditors. Story 135. Nothing. It's amazing, actually. You can share all your thoughts and nobody cares. It's amazing for a self-starter routine. Story 136. Getting banned because I said there is nothing wrong with Diddy whooping on Cassie. That is what rich people do. Get high, fight, and have sex all day. They said I was promoting violence. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.